Friends, fellow citizens, I speak to you today with a heavy heart. A shadow hangs over our nation, a shadow of fear and uncertainty. The 2024 elections are upon us, a time when we, the people of India, are supposed to exercise our democratic right to choose our leaders. Yet the very foundation of our democracy, our constitution, seems to be teetering on the brink. Disturbing pronouncements by prominent figures within the ruling party have shaken me to my core. They speak of altering the very fabric of our nation, of discarding the principles enshrined in our constitution. This blatant disregard for our democratic institutions, for the very soul of our nation, has awakened a deep unease within me. The events in Chandigarh, as troubling as they were merely the tip of the iceberg. A deeper malaise, a creeping rot, seems to have infected our nation's soul. We are a nation divided, our social fabric torn apart by the venomous rhetoric of hate and division. Brother is pitted against brother, neighbor against neighbor, all in the name of narrow political agendas. This is not the India I grew up in. The situation we face today, as dire as it may seem, is not entirely unprecedented. History is replete with examples of nations grappling with the demons of authoritarianism, of ordinary citizens rising up to challenge tyranny. Their stories offer us not only cautionary tales, but also beacons of hope, reminders that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can prevail. One such story, a story that has resonated deeply with me, is that of August Landmesser. In 1936, as Adolf Hitler basked in the adulation of a Nazi rally, a lone figure stood defiant in the crowd, his arms stubbornly crossed, refusing to perform the Nazi salute. These brave souls, these beacons of hope, didn't fight for a divided, fractured India. They fought for an India where every citizen, regardless of their background, could live with dignity and freedom. They fought for an India where the principles of democracy, secularism, and social justice were not mere words on paper, but lived realities. Their legacy belongs to us, the inheritors of their dreams. We have a duty, a sacred responsibility, to safeguard the India they fought so hard to build. The events that unfolded in Chandigarh sent shockwaves through the nation. It was a stark reminder that even in a democracy like ours, the machinery of power could be manipulated, abused, and turned against the very people it was meant to serve. The alleged election fraud, a blatant attempt to subvert the will of the people, was just the beginning. The arrest of Arvind Kejriwal, a man known for his integrity and commitment to the people, was a calculated move, a blatant attempt to silence dissent and crush opposition. The charges against him, flimsy and unsubstantiated, reeked of political vendetta. In the aftermath of the Chandigarh incident, what shocked me most was not the actions of those in power, but the deafening silence of those who should have spoken out against it. The media, once the fourth estate, the watchdog of our democracy, seemed to have abdicated its responsibility. Instead of holding the government accountable, they became complicit in their silence. Some media houses, towing the government line, went to great lengths to discredit the opposition, painting them as villains, as enemies of the state. This silence, this complicity was more dangerous than any act of overt censorship. The fight for democracy, however, is no longer confined to the streets or the halls of parliament. It has spilled over into the digital realm, into the very fabric of our online lives. The internet, once hailed as a democratizing force, has become a battleground for hearts and minds, a space where disinformation and propaganda often drown out truth and reason. The rise of social media, while empowering in many ways, has also created echo chambers, where people are bombarded with information that reinforces their existing biases. This has made it easier for those in power to manipulate public opinion, to spread disinformation, and to discredit their opponents. In this age of information overload, it can be difficult to separate fact from fiction. The lines between news and opinion, between truth and falsehood, have become increasingly blurred. This has created fertile ground for the spread of misinformation, often by design. Those who seek to undermine democracy understand the power of a well-placed lie. They know that in the digital age, information spreads like wildfire, often without any regard for its veracity. The decision to speak truth to power, to challenge the prevailing narrative, rarely comes without a price. Those who dare to question authority, to expose corruption, or to stand up for the rights of the marginalized often find themselves the target of vicious attacks, character assassination, and attempts to silence their voices. I too have experienced this firsthand. My videos, once confined to the digital realm, began to spill over into the real world. They were played in public spaces, in villages and towns across India, sparking conversations and debates. The attacks took on a surreal, almost comical quality. I was accused of being everything from a dog and a cockroach to a bully and a foreign agent. My appearance, my mannerisms, even my choice of words were dissected and ridiculed in an attempt to portray me as unstable, untrustworthy, and unpatriotic. Fake news websites, notorious for peddling propaganda and disinformation, churned out fabricated stories about me. They claimed I was funded by foreign powers, that I had a hidden agenda, that I was hell-bent on destroying India from within. One of the most common tactics used to discredit me was to question my patriotism. I was accused of being anti-national, of hating my own country, simply because I dared to criticize the government. My words were twisted, taken out of context, and used to paint me as a traitor to my own people. This conflation of patriotism with blind obedience to the ruling party is a dangerous trend, one that strikes at the very heart of what it means to be a citizen in a democracy. True patriotism, in my view, lies in holding our leaders accountable, in speaking truth to power, and in fighting for the rights of all citizens, regardless of their background or beliefs. Section 4. A crisis of conscience. The lengths to which my detractors were willing to go to silence me were truly astounding. There were plans to spread fake audio clips, to imitate my voice, to make it seem as if I was asking for money from politicians, all in a bid to discredit me and destroy my reputation. This willingness to resort to such blatant lies and fabrications speaks volumes about the state of our public discourse. It is a reflection of a society where truth has become a casualty, where facts are malleable, and where character assassination is a tool of political expediency. This crisis of conscience, this erosion of ethical values, is perhaps the most disturbing aspect of the entire ordeal. It is a reminder that the fight for democracy is not just about safeguarding institutions and processes, but also about preserving the values of truth, integrity, and accountability that underpin a just and equitable society. It is a fight that requires us to confront not just the external forces that seek to undermine our democracy, but also the internal demons that allow such forces to flourish: apathy, greed, and a willingness to turn a blind eye to injustice. Section 5. The power of you. Despite the relentless attacks, the disinformation campaigns, and the attempts to silence me, I refuse to be intimidated. The outpouring of support from millions of Indians who see through the lies and recognize the importance of what we are fighting for gives me the strength to carry on. To those who seek to silence me, I say this: you have underestimated the power of the people. You have underestimated our intelligence, our resilience, and our unwavering belief in the promise of a better India. The fight for democracy is not mine alone. It belongs to every citizen of this great nation. It belongs to the farmer tilling his land, to the teacher shaping young minds, to the doctor healing the sick, to the entrepreneur creating jobs, to the artist inspiring us with their creativity. It belongs to each and every one of you. Never underestimate the power of your voice, your actions, your choices. In a democracy, it is the people who hold the ultimate power. Use it wisely, use it courageously, and use it to build the India you want to see. Despite the relentless attacks, The smear campaigns, the attempts to paint me as a villain, something extraordinary happened. Something that those who sought to silence me hadn't anticipated. The Indian people saw through the lies. They recognized the desperation in their tactics, the hollowness of their accusations. The more they tried to discredit me, the more credibility they seemed to lose. Across the country, a wave of support began to build. Ordinary citizens, students, professionals, homemakers, people from all walks of life rose up in my defense. They saw in me a reflection of their own anxieties, their own concerns about the erosion of democratic values. My story resonated with them, not because I was anyone special, but because I was just an ordinary citizen who dared to speak truth to power. Messages of solidarity poured in from every corner of the country. People shared their own stories of how my videos had inspired them, given them hope, and reminded them that they were not alone in their fight for a better India. My inbox overflowed with emails, messages, and letters, each one a testament to the indomitable spirit of the Indian people. This groundswell of support, this outpouring of love and solidarity was a turning point for me. It reminded me that despite the challenges, despite the setbacks, the fight for democracy was far from over. It showed me that the forces of darkness, however powerful they may seem, could never extinguish the light of truth and justice. The fight for democracy is not fought by politicians and activists alone. It is fought in the homes, in the workplaces, in the everyday lives of ordinary citizens. It is fought by those who refuse to be silenced, who refuse to give in to fear, who refuse to accept the erosion of their rights and freedoms. Journalists, often working under immense pressure and facing threats to their safety, continue to expose corruption, hold the powerful accountable, and bring to light the stories that matter. Their commitment to truth and justice, their unwavering courage in the face of adversity, is an inspiration to us all. Influencers, using their platforms to amplify marginalized voices, to educate and inform their followers, and to spark conversations on critical issues, are playing an increasingly important role in shaping public discourse. Their ability to connect with audiences, particularly young people, makes them a powerful force for change. And then there are the countless ordinary citizens, the unsung heroes of our democracy, who are engaging in acts of resistance every day. They are the ones who speak up against injustice, who challenge discrimination, who refuse to be bystanders when they see something wrong. The fight for democracy is inextricably linked to the fight for gender equality. Women, who make up half of our population, have long been denied their rightful place in society. They continue to face discrimination, violence, and a lack of representation in positions of power. Yet, despite these challenges, women have been at the forefront of every movement for social and political change in India. From the struggle for independence to the fight against corruption, women have raised their voices, challenged the status quo, and demanded their rightful place at the table. In the current political climate, the role of women is more crucial than ever. Their voices, their perspectives, their experiences are essential to building a more just and equitable society. We must create a space where women feel safe and empowered to speak their minds, to participate in the political process, and to lead. Too often, women are relegated to the sidelines, their contributions undervalued and their voices silenced. We must challenge the patriarchal norms that limit women's roles in society and create a level playing field where they have equal opportunities to succeed. Section 4. Beyond the ballot box. A call to action. The fight for democracy is not limited to elections. It is an ongoing struggle that requires our active participation every single day. It is about holding our leaders accountable, demanding transparency and accountability, and fighting for the rights of all citizens. It is about engaging in our communities, supporting organizations that are working to strengthen our democracy, and educating ourselves and others about the issues that matter. It is about rejecting hate and bigotry in all its forms and embracing the values of tolerance, inclusivity, and respect for all. Change begins with each and every one of us. We must ask ourselves what we are doing to uphold the values of democracy in our own lives. Are we speaking up against injustice? Are we supporting those who are fighting for a better future? Are we using our voices and our platforms to make a difference? The future of our democracy depends on our collective action. It depends on our willingness to stand up for what we believe in, to speak truth to power, and to never give up hope for a more just and equitable society. Section 5. Towards a brighter dawn. The road ahead may seem long and arduous. There will be challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt, but we must never lose sight of the dream that binds us together. The dream of an India that truly lives up to the ideals of its founding fathers. An India where every citizen, regardless of their background, religion, caste, or gender, has an equal opportunity to succeed. An India where dissent is not stifled but celebrated, where truth prevails over falsehood, and where justice is not just a word but a lived reality. The fight for democracy is a marathon, not a sprint. It requires patience, perseverance, and an unwavering belief in the power of collective action. But I am confident that together, we will overcome the challenges that lie ahead and build a brighter future for ourselves and for generations to come. Let us draw inspiration from the words of Rabindranath Tagore, who reminded us that where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Section 1. The Shackles of Stereotypes. For too long, women in our society have been confined to narrow, predefined roles. We tell them their place is in the home, their duty to be subservient, their aspirations secondary to the men in their lives. We tell them their worth lies in their beauty, their ability to conform to societal expectations of how a woman should look, speak, and behave. We bombard them with images of the ideal woman, fair, slim, always smiling, draped in finery, her happiness measured by the number of shopping bags she carries. This manufactured image, peddled by those who profit from insecurity and self-doubt, has done immeasurable damage to the self-esteem of countless women. It has created a culture where women are constantly judged, scrutinized, and found wanting, no matter how hard they try to conform. It's time to shatter these archaic stereotypes, to break free from the shackles that hold women back. We need to recognize and celebrate the strength, resilience, and multifaceted nature of women. Their contributions extend far beyond the domestic sphere. They are doctors, lawyers, scientists, entrepreneurs, artists, athletes. Their talents and potential are limitless. We must create an environment where women feel empowered to pursue their dreams, to break barriers, to shatter glass ceilings. This requires a fundamental shift in our attitudes, a dismantling of the patriarchal structures that perpetuate inequality and discrimination. We must teach our sons to respect women, to see them as equals, and to challenge gender stereotypes wherever they encounter them. Section 2. Jai Bhim, a testament to courage. The film Jai Bhim, a poignant portrayal of social injustice and the fight for equality, serves as a powerful reminder of the strength and resilience of women. The female protagonist, Sanjani, despite facing unimaginable hardship and discrimination, displays extraordinary courage and determination in her quest for justice. Her story is not an isolated one. Across India, millions of women continue to face systemic oppression, their voices silenced, their rights denied. Yet like Sanjani, they refuse to be silenced. They are fighting back, challenging the status quo, and demanding a better future for themselves and their daughters. Their courage is a beacon of hope, an inspiration to us all. It reminds us that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the human spirit can prevail. We must stand with these women, amplify their voices, and support their struggle for equality. The fight for gender justice is not just a women's issue. It is a societal issue, a human rights issue. It is a fight that requires the active participation of both men and women. We must challenge gender stereotypes, promote women's leadership, and create a society that values and respects the contributions of all its citizens. Section 3. Truth Tellers, Changemakers. The fight for a better India is not limited to politicians and activists. It is a fight that is being waged every day, in every corner of our country, by ordinary citizens who refuse to accept the status quo. They are the truth tellers, the change makers, the ones who are building a more just and equitable society, brick by brick, act by act. Journalists risking their lives to expose corruption and hold the powerful accountable are the guardians of our democracy. They are the ones who shine a light on injustice, who give a voice to the voiceless, who ensure that the truth, no matter how uncomfortable, is heard. Influencers, using their platforms to raise awareness about critical issues, to mobilize support for important causes, and to inspire a new generation of engaged citizens, are shaping the future of our nation. They are leveraging the power of technology to connect with millions, to spark conversations, and to drive positive change. And then there are the countless ordinary citizens, the unsung heroes of our democracy, who are making a difference in their own communities every single day. They are the teachers who inspire their students, the doctors who heal the sick, the entrepreneurs who create jobs, the artists who enrich our lives. They are the backbone of our nation. Section 4. A revolution of the soul. The revolution we need is not one of violence and bloodshed, but a revolution of the soul. It is a revolution that begins with each and every one of us, with a commitment to introspection, to personal responsibility, and to a relentless pursuit of truth and justice. It starts with examining our own biases, challenging our own prejudices, and holding ourselves accountable for the choices we make every single day. Are we consuming news responsibly, questioning what we read and hear, and seeking out diverse perspectives? Are we supporting businesses that treat their employees fairly, that are environmentally conscious, that are contributing to the betterment of our communities? Are we taking steps to reduce our own carbon footprint, to conserve water, to minimize our impact on the planet? Are we engaging in our communities, participating in the democratic process, and holding our elected officials accountable? The revolution we need is not a distant dream, it is within our grasp. It starts with a single step, a single act of courage, a single voice raised in defiance of injustice. It starts with you, with me, with each and every one of us. Let us pledge to be the change we want to see in the world, to be the generation that finally breaks the cycle of hate, division, and despair. Let us build an India that is worthy of the sacrifices of our freedom fighters, an India that lives up to the ideals of our Constitution, an India that we can all be proud to call home. My fellow citizens, we stand at a crossroads in our nation's history. The path we choose now will determine not just our own destiny, but that of generations to come. Will we succumb to the forces of division and fear, allowing ourselves to be manipulated by those who seek to profit from discord and distrust? Or will we rise above the fray, embracing the values of unity, compassion, and justice that have always been the true soul of India? The choice is ours. We can choose to be passive spectators, watching from the sidelines as the very fabric of our democracy is torn apart. Or we can choose to be active participants, raising our voices, demanding accountability, and holding those in power to a higher standard. The former path is tempting, I know. It is easier to remain silent, to convince ourselves that our voices don't matter, that we can't make a difference. But silence, in the face of injustice, is complicity. It is a betrayal of the sacrifices made by those who came before us, those who fought tirelessly to build a nation where every citizen could live with dignity and freedom. The latter path, the path of active citizenship, is not always easy. It requires courage, determination, and a willingness to stand up for what is right, even when it is unpopular. But it is the only path that offers hope, the only path that can lead us to a brighter future. For too long, we have allowed others to define who we are, what we believe, and what we aspire to be. We have allowed ourselves to be divided along lines of religion, caste, language, and region, forgetting that our true strength lies in our unity, in our shared identity as Indians. It is time for us to reclaim our narrative, to define ourselves not by the narrow lens of prejudice and division, but by the boundless spirit of compassion, inclusivity, and a shared commitment to building a better tomorrow. We must reject the politics of hate and fear, the politics that seeks to pit one community against another, the politics that thrives on division and discord. We must remember that we are all children of this land, bound together by a shared history, a shared culture, and a shared destiny. Our diversity is not our weakness, it is our greatest strength. It is what makes us unique, what gives us our vibrancy, our resilience, our ability to adapt and thrive. Let us celebrate our differences while never forgetting that we are above all Indians. Let us build bridges of understanding, of empathy, of shared purpose. Let us create a society where every citizen feels valued, respected, and empowered to reach their full potential. The fight for a better India is not some distant battle to be fought on a distant shore. It is a battle that is being waged right here, right now, in every village, in every town, in every city across this vast land. And it is a battle that we can win, not through grand gestures and sweeping pronouncements, but through the cumulative impact of millions of small acts of courage, compassion, and integrity. Every time we speak out against injustice, every time we refuse to be silenced by fear or intimidation, every time we choose honesty over corruption, every time we extend a helping hand to those in need, we are taking a stand for a better India. Every time we support a local business, every time we choose to educate our children, every time we cast our vote responsibly, every time we refuse to participate in the politics of hate and division, we are building a stronger, more just, and more equitable society. The power to change our nation does not lie solely in the hands of politicians and policymakers. It lies within each and every one of us. We must never underestimate the power of our actions, no matter how small they may seem. For it is in these small acts of courage, compassion, and integrity that the seeds of true and lasting change are sown. I have a dream, a vision for our beloved India. I see an India where every citizen has equal opportunity, regardless of their background or beliefs. An India free from the scourge of poverty, hunger, and illiteracy. An India where our farmers are respected, our workers are empowered, and our entrepreneurs are free to innovate and create. I see an India where our rivers run clean, our air is pure, and our forests are teeming with life. An India that is a global leader in science, technology, and innovation, while remaining deeply rooted in our spiritual heritage and cultural values. An India that is respected throughout the world, not just for its economic might, but for its unwavering commitment to peace, justice, and the betterment of humanity. This is the India that I believe we can build together. It is a vision that requires us to look beyond the narrow confines of self-interest, to embrace our shared humanity, and to work together, tirelessly and selflessly, for the greater good. The road ahead may be long, and the challenges we face may seem insurmountable at times. But let us never lose sight of our shared dream, never lose faith in the indomitable spirit of the Indian people. Let us move forward with courage, with determination, and with an unwavering belief in the power of unity, compassion, and justice to triumph over adversity. For the sake of our children, for the sake of our future, let us build the India of our dreams, an India that we can all be proud to call home.